So let's just touch on the overall inflation number coming through in Zimbabwe, pretty much stable. No real reason for concern, or would you say there is, given the fact that food and fuel are the two very big unknowns?
Well, I wouldn't. I would be concerned to the extent that it speaks to liquidity challenges dampening demand. But I think also looking at the strengthening rand and what's happening in oil markets, I think it's also a positive, and it speaks to the lag in the impact of these changes between what happens in the currency markets and the oil market and what we experience here at shop floor level. So I think there's still a bit of a lag with all of those factors, and hence February inflation remained unchanged.
What is the money supply scenario in Zimbabwe at this stage? I mean, you mentioned liquidity. We know liquidity has been a very big issue. Even the banks are experiencing this. Is there going to be any reprieve going forward?
I think what we've started to see with the opening of the tobacco auction season is quite a bit of liquidity coming through to the market from tobacco sales. They tend to inject fresh liquidity and ease the situation as far as that's concerned. So going forward, we think that the situation will improve. In addition, we believe that the steps taken by the Ministry of Finance to also ease these liquidity issues will start to bear fruit as we go forward. Okay,
Rufaro, let's touch on Zimplats. There's been quite a lot of news out, and it seems that the government got what it has been asking for some time now, going to have around a 31% holding in the company, and of course a lot of the shares also going to locals in Zimbabwe and then also to a lot of the employees of Zimplats. What is your sense on this? Because it's still, we know Zimplats has come out and said that no money, no deal.
Well, I think when you look at the rhetoric in the media, the Zimplats indigenization matter appears to be a crisis in the business world to some extent. But what has simply happened here is that they have reached an amicable agreement. Both parties are happy with the arrangement that they've come to, and they're going to work on the details in due course. So I think that the main issue to come from this settlement is that it is possible for foreign investors to do indigenization deals that are amicable, that are acceptable and agreeable to both the foreign investor and the indigenization authorities.
Okay, so let's just touch on TSL and the fact that we've actually seen a new CEO announced, and also just talking of the overall restructuring coming through of the operations. This involves the delisting of Chemco. Give us a bit more clarity when it comes to the stock, and do you think that these moves are the right ones and that investors are going to be happy with some of the restructuring strategy that's been put in place?
We look at the changes very positively. If you look at Chemco, for example, it is a business with a market cap of only $80,000, but it costs the group $500,000 a year to keep the listing afloat in terms of everything that they need to do to meet all the regulatory requirements of a listing. So it's really a smart move on their part to delist that, and some of these changes, grouping all the tobacco assets together and treating the property separately so as to get maximum value from them. These are all what we believe are very value-creating moves, and we like what we're seeing in terms of this restructuring exercise.
Well, I mean, the property is worth around $50 million, so perhaps it is quite a wise idea to separate those two. But is it wise enough to be one of the stock picks going forward, Rufaro?
Well, from a tobacco standpoint, we think that in the agricultural sector, we're going to see a lot of growth coming from that sector. We've seen growth since dollarization, double-digit growth in the annual production, and we think that TSL is very well placed to take advantage of this growth going forward and create shareholder value. So from that perspective, because it's in the agricultural sector and in the very high-growing tobacco crop part of the sector, we rate TSL as a buy.
Let's also touch on Rios M and a bit of a concern there when it comes to disclosing information. The company is now coming under pressure. The share price sitting at around 40 cents from around 60 cents. And this all on the back of the fact that the company plans to raise more capital. Is all the concerns warranted?
I think the concern is warranted. The share price performance, when the capital raising was announced, the It moved from about 25 cents to 60 cents in response to that announcement because the market welcomed the idea that they would raise some money and sort out their debt issues. And I think that the concerns that have been raised about this exercise are reflected in the drop in the share price. We believe that they'll ultimately be able to address the concerns raised by the regulator and successfully conclude this capital raising exercise. And we see this weakness as an opportunity to pick up cheap stock.
All right, so let's touch on Murray & Roberts, because they mentioned that earnings could grow and revenue could actually grow by around 100%. They've revised this down to around 60%. We know late last year they announced revenue of just above 90%, still sitting at very high double-digit territory. So the construction industry might seem to be buoyant at this stage. We know that they've got various units. Construction units has a very strong order book at this stage.
Yes, I think we're quite bullish on on construction as a sector as a whole. There is quite a lot of infrastructure work that needs to be done in the country, and MNI is well placed to take advantage of all the development in this sector. They have also enjoyed double-digit growth since dollarization, and while the reduction in the outlook from 100% to 60% is something of a disappointment, 60% growth is still very strong by any standard. And we remain quite bullish on them, given their order book